Hey there, welcome to Woohoo Wednesday. So this week we want to talk to you about your creativity muscles. Last week we were with clients and we were stretching their muscles pretty hard and we were doing some new things that were uncomfortable. And as we always say at Bamboo, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Well, it's sometimes easier said than done. It's just like when you go to the gym and you haven't been to the gym in a long time and you do some sit-ups and you go, oh, I feel my abs again. That's kind of a good feeling versus you overextend something and you pull your shoulder and that's a sore feeling. So, there is a way to kind of warm yourself up and to get into any muscle building. And that's why we created Woohoo Wednesday for you. So we were with this client last week and as we say at Bamboo, be comfortable being uncomfortable. He was uncomfortable. And we said, so you got uncomfortable? He said, yeah. And we said, and you went somewhere new? I said, yeah. And we said, do you want to do it again? And he said, not really. And you know what? That's not surprising. It's hard. It's hard to be uncomfortable. It's hard to stretch your muscles. It's hard to be silly in front of your colleagues. It's hard to do something totally different out of the norm. It's hard to feel silly or maybe like you don't know what you're doing. That is not something that we like in corporate America. We like to know all of these things. We like to have all of our ducks in a row. We like to look smart and tough and strong. But how are you going to get better at this if you don't exercise your muscles? You have to be uncomfortable like anything to exercise that muscle. And so I'm here to tell you, creativity, like anything else that you get better at, is a muscle that you can strengthen. And you can only strengthen it if you practice stretching and lifting weights with it. And we do this every day. And so people will say, oh, you're so creative. Guess what? It's just because we're practicing all the time and we're strengthening those muscles. And so how do you do this every day with all of the things that you have on your plate? Well, you have to build in time to fill your brain with stimulus. And you have to trust the process, which is when you collect stimulus, you might not use it right away. You might not know how you're going to use it. It might not just hit you on the side of the head like this is what it's going to apply to. It might come around later. And you might go, wow, now that's why I heard that story. That's why I experienced that thing. So I'll give you an example. So this last week, I was listening to this story on Vox. It was a video about syncopation and a Radiohead song. And I was fascinated by it and it has been bugging me all week. This idea of syncopation and how it applies to innovation. And I just know that I'm just gonna store it in my brain and I'm just gonna keep noodling it. And then at some point in some project, it's going to be completely relevant. And I don't need to worry about when that is. I am taking a masterclass right now. So if you don't know about masterclass, it's super cool. You can sign up and you can take all these classes for the whole year and it's really fun. And I'm listening to Malcolm Gladwell. And I'm gonna take one on space exploration. And I'm gonna take one on photography from Annie Leibovitz. And so I'm not in that. I'm not an astronaut. I'm not a photographer. I'm the worst photographer you've ever met. My husband will tell you that. I am taking it because I figure I'll learn something new about her perspective. I'll learn what made this woman so famous. I'll learn what made this woman just so completely successful. Maybe it's her empathy. Maybe it's her intuition. Maybe it's something else. But I want to learn from her perspective. So fill your brain with other perspectives. Figure out how to hold some space and some time. If this is not fitting into your 9 to 5, how are you making sure that you're stretching that creativity muscle? I get a lot of inspiration from listening to NPR radio. I get a ton of inspiration from TED Talks. I do a lot of reading and a lot of meandering around the web to look at things that are happening in trends. And I don't put that much pressure on myself to worry about how it's going to be used. I just know that if I think, oh, that's interesting, usually the thing that stretches my muscle is, that makes me think of blank. So the next time you hear something interesting, what does it make you think of? What could it apply to? What is the analogous category that could steal that insight or that application or that learning? What could you learn from a totally random, non-related industry because you're listening with different ears? You're listening with the ears of an innovator. You will strengthen this muscle if you think this way. If you don't just take it as data and let it fly through. You take it as inspiration, that makes me think of X. That's all you need to do to start. If you keep on doing this, you will feel more creative. You will be more creative. You will come up with more solutions and people will say, wow, you're so creative, because you will unshackle your brain from worrying about where to put things. You'll unshackle your brain from worrying about whether it's right or wrong. It will just be, and you can be present and own it and keep it. And then when you need to use it, you've got it. Practice. So I put a list of some ideas in the attachment. If you need more, you can always call us or write to us. You know that we have endless ideas about how to get lateral stimulation. But just come up with different ways that you are going to build into your routine every single week to inspire you that you can start to collect the stimulus. Have an awesome week.